Have you ever wondered why some people get giant, incredibly sweet strawberries by early summer, while others are left with tiny, sour or rotting fruit? The secret is not in the variety of the plant. The secret lies in exactly what you do during the first few weeks of spring. Today we are going to unlock the ultimate spring step for a bountiful harvest and healthy fruit. I promise you by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to turn your sleepy, messy strawberry patch into a massive fruit-producing machine. But first, let me ask you a controversial gardening question. When you see dead brown leaves on your strawberries in spring, do you cut them all off or leave them alone to act as natural compost? Think about your answer, drop it in the comments right now, and let us see if you change your mind by the end of this video. To truly understand what our strawberries need right now, we have to look back at how these amazing plants survive the winter. Strawberries are incredibly resilient perennials. During the freezing months, they pull all their energy down deep into a central part of the plant called the crown. They basically go into a deep sleep, shutting down their leaves and pausing all growth to survive the frost. The problem is, modern garden strawberries have been bred by humans to produce abnormally large and abundant fruit. Because we demand so much energy from them in the summer, they cannot just wake up naturally and do it all on their own. They need a specific trigger and a clean environment to start gathering the massive amounts of nutrients required for big berries. If we just leave them alone in the spring, they will waste precious energy fighting through old debris and diseases, leading to a very disappointing harvest. Let us talk about the very first thing you must do when the snow melts and the ground starts to warm up. You walk out to your garden and look at your strawberry patch. It probably looks like a messy pile of dead brown leaves. Many new gardeners panic at this sight. They think their plants have completely died during the cold winter months. But here is the truth. Those flat, ugly brown leaves are actually a protective blanket. However, leaving them on for too long in the spring is a massive mistake. You might have heard the myth that old leaves turn into compost right on top of the plant. That is completely false. In reality, those dead leaves become a sponge for moisture and a luxury hotel for fungal diseases. Think of it like wearing a wet winter coat in the middle of a warm spring day. It is uncomfortable and dangerous for your health. So, your first vital step is a careful cleanup. You need to gently peel back that winter mulch and remove those dead leaves. Use small garden scissors or your fingers to pinch off the dead material. Leave only the tiny green shoots that are trying to push through the center. This simple act of clearing the debris immediately improves air circulation and sets the stage for explosive growth. It tells the plant that winter is officially over. Now that you have cleared away the dead leaves, you need to closely inspect the most important part of the strawberry plant. This is called the crown. The crown is the thick, woody base sitting just right at the surface of the soil. Everything grows from here. The roots go down, and the leaves and fruit come up. I like to call this the heart of the strawberry. You need to make sure this heart is healthy and positioned correctly. Over the winter, the freezing and thawing of the ground can actually push the strawberry plants up out of the soil. This exposes the roots to the dry spring air, or heavy winter rains might have buried the crown too deep in the mud. A buried crown will easily rot. So take a close look at every single plant. The crown should be sitting exactly level with the soil surface, half in, half out. If a plant looks like a zombie being pushed out of its grave, gently press it back down and pack a little dirt around the roots. If it is buried, carefully brush the dirt away so the top of the crown can breathe. Imagine trying to breathe with a pillow over your face. That is what a buried strawberry crown feels like. Fixing this placement is crucial for early spring survival. Once the crowns are perfect, we have to deal with the soil itself. After months of snow, rain, and cold winds, the soil in your strawberry bed is likely completely compacted. It becomes hard and dense, almost like a brick. There is a common gardening myth that you should never disturb the soil around strawberries because their roots are shallow. While it is true that their roots are near the surface, leaving the soil rock hard is a terrible idea. Compacted soil chokes the roots. They cannot absorb oxygen, and water will just pool on the surface instead of soaking in. We need to fix this gently. Take a small hand fork or a thin stick. Very carefully start poking holes in the dirt between your strawberry plants. Do not dig deep. Just loosen the top 1 or 2 inches. You are basically aerating the soil. Imagine taking a deep breath of fresh mountain air after being in a stuffy room. That is exactly what you are giving your strawberry roots. This light loosening allows the spring rains to penetrate deeply and gives the new roots soft earth to expand into. It is a tiny effort that pays off with massive, strong plants. Let us move on to the next critical step, which involves getting the moisture levels just right. Spring weather can be incredibly tricky. One week it is pouring rain, and the next week the sun is blazing and the wind is drying everything out. Many people think that because it is spring, plants automatically have enough water from melting snow. This is a dangerous assumption. As soon as those new green leaves start pushing out from the crown, the plant gets extremely thirsty. But here is the catch. You do not want to turn your garden bed into a swamp. Strawberries hate sitting in muddy, waterlogged soil. It rots their roots instantly. You need to act like a smart detective. Stick your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If it feels completely dry, it is time to give them a drink. When you do water, focus entirely on the base of the plant. Do not spray water all over the new leaves. Wet leaves in cool spring weather are an open invitation for nasty fungal diseases. Use a watering can or a drip hose to deliver the water directly to the soil. Think of it like giving a baby a bottle directly, rather than throwing a glass of water at its face. Precision watering in spring guarantees healthy, disease-free foliage. Now, we have to confront the silent thieves in your garden. I am talking about early spring weeds. When you fertilize and water your strawberry bed, you are creating a paradise. Unfortunately, weed seeds love paradise just as much as your strawberries do. Weeds grow incredibly fast in cool weather, often much faster than your berry plants. There is a myth that a few small weeds will not hurt anything, and you can just pull them later in the summer. Do not fall for this. Those tiny weeds are actively stealing the exact nutrients and water that your strawberries need to form fruit buds right now. Every day a weed stays in the bed, it robs your future harvest. You must be ruthless in the early spring. Get down on your knees and pull every single weed you see, pulling them up by the roots. Because you already loosened the soil earlier, this job will be very easy. Picture these weeds as tiny vampires, sucking the lifeblood out of your precious strawberry harvest. By keeping the bed perfectly clean in these early weeks, you ensure that 100% of the soil's energy goes straight into making big, beautiful, sweet berries. After clearing the weeds, it is time for the most magical step of all. We need to feed these hungry plants. Waking up from winter and pushing out entirely new foliage requires a massive amount of energy. Your soil alone probably does not have enough readily available nutrients to support a bumper crop. The first spring feeding is all about nitrogen. Nitrogen is the building block for strong green leaves, and without big, healthy leaves, the plant cannot photosynthesize enough energy to make sweet fruit later. You can use a balanced organic fertilizer or something specific for berries. But here is a brilliant trick. Add a handful of high-quality compost or worm castings around the base of each plant. This acts like a slow-release protein shake for your strawberries. It gives them a gentle, steady supply of energy without burning their delicate new roots. Do not use heavy synthetic chemical fertilizers right now, as they can cause a sudden, weak burst of growth that is easily damaged by late frosts. Gently scratch your organic food into the top layer of soil we loosened earlier. You will visibly see the plants turn a deeper, richer shade of green within just a few days. While we are on the topic of feeding, Let me share a fantastic, old-school secret for the sweetest strawberries you will ever taste. It involves something you might just throw away. Wood ash. If you have a fireplace or a fire pit and you burn clean, untreated wood, you have gardening gold. Wood ash is incredibly rich in potassium. While nitrogen builds the green leaves, potassium is the secret ingredient that builds the fruit. It helps the plant move sugars around, resulting in those incredibly sweet, juicy berries we all dream about. However, there is a strict rule here. You must use it sparingly. Think of wood ash like salt on your dinner. A little pinch makes everything taste amazing, but dumping the whole shaker ruins the meal. Take just a small handful of completely cooled wood ash and lightly dust it around the soil of your strawberry patch in the early spring. The spring rains will wash this magic powder down into the root zone. This is a crucial step for a bountiful harvest and healthy fruit that many modern gardeners completely forget about. It is free, natural, and makes a massive difference in the flavor of your harvest. As your plants start to grow happily, you will notice something interesting. The strawberries will start sending out long, stringy stems across the ground. These are called runners. They are baby plants trying to find a place to root and grow. Now, you might think, great, free plants, let them grow. But this is where you must be strong. In the early spring, letting runners grow is a terrible idea if you want a big harvest. Think of runners like lazy teenagers living in the house. They consume a massive amount of the mother plant's energy, food, and water, but they do not produce any fruit this year. If the mother plant is busy feeding 3 or 4 runner babies, she will produce very few flowers, and the berries will be tiny. You have to make a choice. Do you want more plants for next year, or do you want a massive amount of fruit this year? If you want fruit, you must take your scissors and snip off those early spring runners as close to the main plant as possible. Redirect all that powerful spring energy back into the main crown. The plant will thank you by pushing out huge clusters of flower buds instead of useless vines. Let us prepare for an invisible enemy that wakes up precisely when your strawberries do. I am talking about fungal spores, things like powdery mildew and botrytis rot. These microscopic monsters survive the winter in the soil and on tiny bits of old debris. As soon as the spring weather gets damp and slightly warm, they float up and land on your fresh, tender green strawberry leaves. Many people wait until their leaves are covered in white powder or brown spots to take action. By then, the battle is already lost, and your fruit will taste awful. The trick is prevention. You need to act before you see any problems. An excellent organic preventative step is using neem oil or a copper-based organic fungicide. On a calm, cloudy spring morning, mix a weak solution and lightly mist the new foliage. This creates a microscopic shield over the leaves. It is like giving your plants a tiny umbrella to protect them from the rain of fungal spores. If you do this early in the spring, you block the disease from ever taking hold. Your plants will stay a vibrant, healthy green all the way through the harvest season. Fungus is not the only thing waking up in the spring. Pests are also stretching their legs and getting incredibly hungry. The most dangerous early spring pests for strawberries are often the ones you can barely see: spider mites and aphids. These tiny bugs love to hide on the underside of the new, tender leaves. They are like microscopic vampires, piercing the plant cells and sucking out the sugary sap. If left unchecked in the spring, they will stunt the growth of the plant and ruin the developing flower buds. You might just notice the leaves looking slightly wrinkled or losing their color. Do not ignore these warning signs. The best defense is a proactive offense. Once a week, get down low and physically flip over a few leaves to look for tiny, crawling specks. If you see them, you do not need harsh chemicals. A strong blast of water from your garden hose early in the morning can knock them right off. For a tougher infestation, a simple insecticidal soap spray works wonders. By catching these bugs early in the season, You prevent them from multiplying into an unstoppable army right when your berries are trying to ripen. Now that the soil is warm, fed, and clean, and the plants are protected, it is time to give them a brand new bed. We need to talk about spring mulching. The old winter mulch is gone, but we cannot leave the bare soil exposed to the hot, early summer sun. Bare soil dries out rapidly, and splashing mud during rainstorms will ruin your fruit. You need to lay down a fresh, clean layer of mulch. But what is the best material? The name strawberry actually comes from the traditional practice of using straw. Clean, weed-free straw is excellent. However, if you really want to boost your plants, try using pine needles. Pine needles are fantastic because they interlock and do not blow away easily. They also add a very slight acidity to the soil as they break down, which strawberry plants absolutely love. Carefully tuck your chosen mulch around the base of the plants, covering the bare dirt completely. But be very careful not to bury that crown we talked about earlier. Think of this fresh mulch like clean, crisp bed sheets. It keeps the developing fruit off the dirt, prevents rot, and locks the precious moisture in the soil where the roots need it. As you are laying down that fresh mulch, you need to evaluate the spacing of your plants. Strawberry plants grow aggressively in the spring. If you planted them too close together last year, or if you let too many runners root, your bed is going to be dangerously crowded. There is a common misconception that a dense, wild jungle of strawberry leaves means a bigger harvest. This is completely false. When plants are packed together like sardines in a tin can, they compete brutally for sunlight, water, and nutrients. Worse, a crowded bed has zero airflow. It becomes a humid, damp cave. That is exactly the environment where mold and rot thrive. If you cannot see the mulch between your plants, they are too crowded. You must be brave and thin them out. Dig up the smallest, weakest plants and move them somewhere else, or give them to a neighbor. Aim for at least 8 to 12 inches of space between each plant. Giving them this breathing room ensures that every single leaf catches the sun, and the wind can blow through to dry off the morning dew. Space equals health. We need to discuss a sudden danger that breaks the hearts of thousands of gardeners every single spring: the late spring frost. Just when your strawberry plants are looking incredibly healthy, and those beautiful white flower buds start to open, the weather forecaster announces a sudden overnight freeze. Strawberry flowers are extremely delicate. If the temperature drops below freezing for even a couple of hours, the center of the flower will turn black. A flower with a black center is dead. It will never turn into a strawberry. You must be prepared for this sudden winter trap. Keep a close eye on the weather report every evening. If a frost is predicted, you must cover your plants. You can use special agricultural frost fabric, but old bedsheets or lightweight blankets work perfectly fine. Gently drape the covers over the strawberry patch in the late afternoon before the sun goes down to trap the heat in the soil. Make sure the edges are pinned down with rocks or bricks so the cold wind cannot get underneath. Then, the most important part, you must remember to take the covers off immediately the next morning when the sun comes up, so the plants do not bake. Let us add a brilliant strategic layer to your spring strawberry care. Have you ever heard of companion planting? This is the practice of placing specific plants near each other to naturally boost their health and repel pests. In the early spring, you have a perfect opportunity to plant some bodyguards around your strawberry patch. The best companions for strawberries are members of the allium family, things like garlic, onions, or chives. Why do these work so well? Because pests like aphids, spider mites, and even some small rodents absolutely hate the strong, pungent smell of onions and garlic. By planting a small border of chives around your strawberry bed, or interspersing a few garlic cloves between the plants, you create a natural, invisible scent barrier. It is like putting up a giant keep-out sign for bugs. Plus, chives produce beautiful purple flowers later in the spring that attract the good bugs we actually want. It is a completely organic, effortless way to protect your harvest from the very start of the season. Do not plant cabbage or broccoli near them, though, as they compete for the same nutrients. There is a harsh reality about strawberry plants that you need to face this spring. They do not live forever. A strawberry plant has a peak production period. Usually the second and third years are the absolute best for yielding massive amounts of fruit. By the time a plant reaches its fourth spring, its central crown gets incredibly woody, twisted, and exhausted. It is like an old factory where the machines are breaking down. An old plant will produce lots of small leaves, but very few tiny, sour berries. If you know your strawberry patch is getting old, this spring is the time to take action. You need to practice crown division or replacement. If a plant looks extremely thick and clumped together with multiple woody stems, dig it up. You can often snap or cut the root ball into 2 or 3 smaller, younger sections and replant them. This revitalizes the plant entirely. If the whole patch is over 4 years old, it is honestly best to pull them out, enrich the soil heavily, and plant brand new bare root plants. Managing the age of your patch is a vital secret to continuous, heavy harvests year after year. While we already talked about giving the plants a nitrogen boost, we need to focus on something much smaller, but equally vital. Micronutrients. Think of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium as the meat and potatoes of the plant's diet. But plants also need vitamins, just like humans do. In the early spring, as the soil is still cool, strawberry plants often struggle to absorb iron and magnesium. If they lack these, you will see a condition called chlorosis. The leaves will turn a pale, sickly yellow, while the veins remain dark green. It looks like a strange zebra pattern on the leaf. If you see this, your plant is crying out for help. A weak yellow leaf cannot produce enough sugar for sweet berries. You can fix this rapidly by applying a liquid kelp extract or a specific organic micronutrient spray right on the leaves early in the morning. Liquid kelp is packed with trace minerals from the ocean. The leaves absorb it almost instantly. It is like giving your strawberry plants an energy drink. Within days, those pale yellow leaves will transform into a vibrant, dark, healthy green, ready to power the fruit production. Let us talk about a watering mistake that is incredibly easy to make in the spring. You turn on the outdoor spigot for the first time in months, grab the hose, and spray down your thirsty strawberries. But the water sitting in those underground pipes, or coming straight from a deep well, is often freezing cold. Strawberry roots, which have just started to warm up and expand in the spring sun, absolutely hate this cold shock. Imagine stepping into a freezing cold shower when you are expecting warm water. Your muscles tense up and you cannot breathe. That is what the plant roots do. A shock of icy water can actually stall their growth for several days. To avoid this, try to use water that is closer to the air temperature. If you have a rain barrel, that water is perfect. If you are using a hose, fill up a large watering can or a bucket and just let it sit in the sun for a few hours before pouring it on the plants. Watering with lukewarm, sun-heated water keeps the soil temperature stable and encourages the roots to keep growing vigorously, pushing the plant toward an earlier and larger harvest. As the spring progresses, you need to become a keen observer. Every time you walk past your garden, look closely at the new leaves that are emerging from the center of the crown. These new leaves are the traffic lights of your strawberry plant. They tell you exactly how the plant is feeling. If the new leaves are standing straight up, looking crisp and a vibrant light green, you have a green light. The plant is perfectly happy. But if the new leaves look crinkled, deformed, or have strange brown edges, you have a red light. Something is wrong. Deformed new leaves are almost always a sign of a microscopic pest called the cyclamen mite, or a sign of severe calcium deficiency in the soil. Do not just wait and hope it gets better. If you see twisted new growth, immediately check the soil moisture and consider applying an organic calcium supplement or spraying for mites. By reading the leaves daily in the spring, you can catch and fix problems weeks before they have a chance to ruin the flowers and the fruit. Your observation is your most powerful gardening tool. Eventually, after all your hard work, the moment of truth arrives. You will see the first clusters of small, tight green buds rising up from the crown. These are the future strawberries. This is a critical transition period for the plant. It is shifting all its energy from building leaves to building the flower factory. At this exact moment, the plant needs consistent, even moisture more than ever. If the soil completely dries out right when the flower buds are forming, the plant will panic. It will abort the flowers to save itself, and those buds will simply dry up and fall off. You must ensure the soil under your fresh mulch remains consistently damp, like a wrung-out sponge. Also, be extremely careful when weeding around these delicate stalks. One clumsy move with your hand can snap a stalk that holds 5 or 6 potential giant strawberries. Treat these emerging flower clusters like fragile glass. They are the direct result of all your careful spring preparation, and protecting them now guarantees the massive harvest you have been working towards. Finally, those tight green buds pop open into beautiful bright white flowers with yellow centers. You might think your job is done and you just have to wait for the red fruit. But there is one last, absolutely crucial step. Pollination. Strawberries rely heavily on bees, flies, and wind to move the pollen around inside the flower. If a flower is not perfectly pollinated, the resulting strawberry will be small, hard, and deformed. It will look like a strange, lumpy alien fruit instead of a perfect cone. In the cool days of early spring, bees are sometimes scarce or sluggish. You need to actively invite them to your strawberry patch. Planting early blooming flowers like borage or sweet alyssum right next to your strawberries acts like a giant, flashing neon sign for bees. If you are growing in a greenhouse or on a covered balcony where bugs cannot reach, you must become the bee. Take a very soft, small paintbrush and gently tickle the center of every single open flower every day. This manual pollination guarantees that every single flower transforms into the biggest, sweetest, most perfect strawberry possible. So there you have it, the complete, step-by-step spring secret to a bountiful harvest and healthy fruit. By clearing the winter debris, aerating the soil, aggressively managing weeds and runners, and protecting those precious early blooms, you are setting your strawberry patch up for explosive success. These simple actions transform a struggling plant into a powerhouse of sweet, juicy berries. Imagine walking out to your garden in a few weeks and filling bowl after bowl with giant, perfect strawberries, knowing you made it happen just by following these crucial spring steps. If you found these secrets helpful, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and share it with a fellow gardener. Now, I want to hear from you. What is your absolute favorite variety of strawberry to grow, and what is your biggest challenge with them? Let us chat down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and happy gardening.